the people who really make it are those who don't give up. Like they don't give up when they don't get a response. I've heard people they'll reach out, they're like, oh, I reached out once. I'm like, just once? Just one? Is that how bad you really want it? Because if you really wanted it that bad, like you wouldn't reach out just once. You know, like everybody's like, oh, Pearle has worked at TikTok, Pearle has worked at Twitter, But the truth is, like, I've applied to these companies multiple times. Like I can't tell you how many times I applied to TikTok, to the point where somebody, I DM'd someone on Twitter so many times that she blocked me. Like, wow. That's how persistent I was. That's how I was just like, yeah, I don't care. That's how audacious she blocked me. And I was like, okay, well, if she's gonna block me, somebody else will respond. And somebody else eventually did respond.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am really happy today. Like, my joy cannot be described in words because I have the superstar of the superstars, the OG of the OGs in the building. This is where they're supposed to do drum roll. If you watched my episode with Michael, you realized that I talked about the fact that in season 3 we'll have like a small session called Going Global with EF. And the idea is very simple. While we are here in Nigeria, where we're talking about growing career-wise, we also realized that at mid-level or at some point during your career, you want to play in the global stage. And so why not bring a lot of Nigerians that have not just dominated the African continent, but have also made great impact, you know, across the globe, across multinationals, across reputable companies. And today, I have the Yonsei of tech policy, the policy guru, the communications experts, the many other things. I have a superstar in the house, Pearle.
Hi, Emmanuel. It's so good to be on your YouTube today.
Yeah, podcast. Yeah,
podcast. Okay.
I'm so excited. Like, I don't know why. I mean, so like, I've had it in mind that maybe like if you come home from 30 December or something. But the fact that we didn't shoot this in December, we're able to make it happen.
Yeah,
I am really excited.
Same, likewise. I mean, I was like, let me stay in Lagos for a while to take a break. So I'm really glad that after the break, everybody's like, okay, let's do this. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. My brain is ready to talk about it because before I just wanted to lie down and eat food. So.
And enjoy movies food.
Exactly.
No, that's totally understandable. Now, typically, we don't ask, can we meet you? They said HR professionals to stop asking, can we meet you?
All right.
Yeah, so maybe a very soft way to start is, you share a lot about yourself. So tell us something we probably would not have guessed.
So something random about me is that I used to be a tomboy.
Okay.
So I'm the only girl. My family, I have 2 brothers, and then in my extended family, funny enough, every single family only has 1 girl. So I have more male cousins than female. So I've just always grown up being a tomboy. I used to wear I hated wearing skirts. I hated wearing high heels. I fought with my mom a lot about wearing dresses to church. So it's not obvious now because I'm like all girly, because my parents actually sent me an all-girl school because they were worried that I would turn out to be
Was that part of like social integration?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they were like, they cannot afford the only girl to be a boy. So they sent me to an all-girl school and then helped me. So I feel like going to an all-girl school helps me be more feminine and then, you know, how to like sit and speak and, you know, communicate and all of that. But I think I still have that masculine energy because I'm very competitive. I still play sports, all up to, you know, Unilag, I was still playing competitively. So, but yeah, something people wouldn't know, I used to be a tomboy.
Thank you for sharing that deep secret with us. Talking about competitiveness, I think that also shows up with how you approach your career, and I'm very sure that we would delve into that at some point. So guys, I told Pearle before we started this that I'm not going to read a bio because she's done a lot, and I know that you guys know I bring amazing guests, but Pearle has done a lot. I'm not even sugarcoating. She's worked at TikTok, she's worked with Twitter and a lot of other global names. I think the next question is, if you were to explain what you do every day to people, maybe using your last job, what would that look like?
So I'll say my job as policy manager, platform policy, brand safety, different titles, it was just basically drafting policies to keep users safe on the platform. So right now, everybody's on social media. You know, everybody is trying to build their visibility, build their brand online. But with that comes bad actors. You know, you can create content, or you can be on the space and somebody's leaving a hateful comment on your page. Somebody's sending you spamful DMs. So my job was to create policies to protect users on the platform. So a lot of people tend to confuse it with compliance, like
which
privacy.
is why, because I also mix that up.
Yeah. So a lot of people think it's like, oh, privacy, data privacy. We sit under similar umbrellas, but like we're contemporaries. So data privacy is more, they're like set of people, mostly lawyers who work on the compliance, GDPR, NPR, and all of that. But my job is kind of sits under trust and safety. So what we do is basically we draft the internal policies that protects what we call like the community guidelines, right?
Yes.
And then we just make sure that we have like different brackets. Like we don't want to see hate speech, we don't want to see bullying, we don't want to see harassment, that like sexual content, sexual violence, and a lot of terrorism. So that's like the space that I'm in, which is very different from privacy, which is all about like making sure that your data is not being shared with a malicious third party and stuff like that. So that's like what my day-to-day was, really just making sure that we reduce the amount of bad actors on the platform.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to frame it, reducing bad actors. I mean, I think I knew a lot about your work at TikTok, again, because I also had a friend that worked at TikTok around that time. And maybe a slight follow-up to that question is, like, you've worked in global companies, obviously, and most times when these frameworks have been developed, they are developed from like a Western, perspective. You have held it down for us in Africa. Guys, she has. You need to check out. She has. So how do you continuously ensure that African perspective, African framework is also integrated into the global framework in the places that you've worked? Generally?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So, like, my first job at TikTok, I was policy manager for Sub-Saharan Africa, and I was specifically hired to draft policies from a local, point of view, right? So we had this like mantra where it was like, we'll build global, but we'll lean local. Okay. So we had like global policies, like, so for example, if we had like a hate speech policy, right, which is we don't want to see anything that would target a user based on their race, their gender, their religion, and everything else, characteristics that we list out. And we would also have like internally kind of speaking to the local context, right? There are slurs in different languages. And I mean, for example, Africa takes over like 2,000 languages on the continent. So we can't obviously capture everything, but we want to be able to understand the nuances if they arise. So if we notice that there's a trend of a particular harmful language or a slur or a comment, we want to be able to step in and be like, okay, based on the writings of the global policy, this is how we're going to capture the local nuances. So I think, like, moving forward, global companies still need to take a deeper step to understand the context, and the best way is just like having people at the seat on the table. I think a lot of times we think, okay, maybe AI can do this, but unless Africans have a seat on the table, then that's when we're able to like speak to that local context, speak to the local nuances. So that was basically what I was, I did on a global scale at TikTok.
No, that's super inspiring and super exciting. Now, I know that like companies at TikTok, like Twitter, like Meta by extension, are deliberately giving Africans like seats on the table. Maybe use this platform to shout out to companies that need to do the same. Because we know that like it's not general. It's
exactly.
Not everywhere.
I mean, but at the same time, I think it's also like, I think we're finally at the point where we also need to build our own table, right? Like, we can't keep waiting for these global companies to like, give us a seat, right? So I think that's also another conversation to have, right? And like, I think even in the AI space, like Bosu Tijani, who's like the minister, he's actively trying to train people in AI. He's actively building things. We're trying to, like, he already built the very first language data set to capture Nigerian languages in AI. So I think that's something like, that is, coming into play. And, Africa is definitely positioning itself to leapfrog into that industrial revolution. So we're glad that we're able to have that seat and be like, okay, so if anybody who's thinking, okay, what can I do? Like, if you're able to get a seat at the table in a global company, you can use your experience now to come to Africa and build and, be a part of that race so that we can compete globally.
That's great. I like that you're calling back to people to come to Africa and contribute to the growth of the continent. Okay, then getting to the core of the conversation, which is, of course, one of the reasons why I started going global. I mean, you have played a long-term game. A lot of Africans want to get into global opportunities. You have been like playing the global space for 6 to 7 years.
7 years now, almost
Yeah,
8.
OG.
Actually 10, because I graduated in 2016. So like every time I look back, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we won't talk about LMUN. We won't get into
that's crazy.
Yeah, but like starting from the core of it, what have you noticed about the difference between the African professionals that actually get positioned and get into those global opportunities and those that don't? Maybe like 2 or 3 things.
Yeah, so I'll say 3 things. Like I think the things that a lot of professionals, like what separates the professionals who do and don't, would definitely be clarity, resilience, and audacity. I think the first thing is, even just breaking it down to like the simplest thing where it comes to like sending messages or reaching out to people, which is usually the bedrock of like, networking. A lot of times when people, I'll use myself for an example, when people reach out to me, they're not clear about what they want. And I can only imagine when they reach out to people who are like much more senior, busier, like, they're not clear about their ask. I've had people just reach out to me and they'll be like, hi, like, how are you? Can you please, I want to get on a call with you. And I'm okay, but who are you? What are you doing? What do you want from me? How can I help you? Like, it's not clear. And I think that also speaks to them as a person. Because sometimes I would have one-to-ones with people and it's obvious that they're not clear about the direction they want to take. Like, yes, they want to be global, and it feels like they've just been influenced by what they've seen online. They've seen, and this person is doing it, so therefore I want to be global. So I think there isn't, like, a lot of times what differentiates people is that clarity. So when I first started out, it was like, I was very clear that I wanted to get into tech policy. Like, I lived, breathed tech policy. Like, everywhere I went, I was just like, and the more I was stepping into rooms, the more I was refining that, like that thought, that message. Because sometimes people just think, oh, if I just have this one message, then that's it. Like, the older you get, the more rooms you get into, you need to start clarifying, like, you need to start refining your message. The second thing is, like, audacity, right? Audacity is, it's like the ethos. I think a lot of people have always described me as somebody who is audacious. And like,
she is, guys. It's not described. She is really audacious.
So like you have to be, like, you just have to be like, you just have to bully yourself, bully your dreams into existence. And I've watched how people are just like, oh, I'm not sure. Oh, I don't know if I need to reach out. I remember just telling someone else, like, you do realize that you're behind a screen. This is not in person. Like, all you just have to do is hit send. Like, it's not even, you're not trying to shake someone's hand, you're not trying to be around someone, you just have to hit send. Like, you just need to have that audacity, like, okay, I'm already clear about what I want. Then you need the energy to just, like, make it happen for yourself. And then the last thing that really does separate people is resilience. A lot of people are, like, the people who really make it are those who don't give up. Like, they don't give up when they don't get a response. I've heard people, they'll reach out, they're like, oh, I reached out once. I'm like, just once? Just one? Is that how bad you really want it? Because if you really wanted it that bad, like, you wouldn't reach out just once. And also, I was like, the person that you're trying to reach out to already has what you have. They have nothing to lose if you don't respond. You do. So why are you not following up, right? I think that's something that I've always noticed, that it's like, people are not ready to, like, they quit on themselves so quickly. And I'm like, you can't quit on yourself. Nobody has told you no. And even if they tell you no, like, that's okay. Like, it just means not yet. It just means talking to the wrong person. Because there's always that one person that would eventually say yes. You know, like, everybody's like, oh, Pearle has worked at TikTok, Pearle has worked at Twitter, Pearle has... But the truth is, like, I've applied to these companies multiple times. Like, I can't tell you how many times I applied to TikTok, to the point where somebody, I DM'd someone on Twitter so many times that she blocked me. Like, wow. That's how persistent I was. That's how I was just like, yeah, I don't care. That's how audacious she blocked me. And I was like, okay, well, she's gonna block me, somebody else will respond. And somebody else eventually did respond, right? You know, so eventually, I remember when I got my job at Twitter and I reached out to my friends and I was like, I'm working at Twitter now. They didn't tell me congratulations. They were like, finally. That was the first thing they said, because they knew how, like, that was the line I was going to die on. I was like, this is me and you, I'm gonna work there. I don't care how long, when, how, I didn't care. Like, so I think for me, it's like, because some people think, oh, all these people who are doing these amazing things, it just like lands on their lap. I've not met anybody who is like successful that just did it in the first try. Nobody exists. Like, so I think it's just a matter of like being persistent. And I always tell people, it's like, especially as Nigerians, we already have that hustle culture. We're very loud, we're very ambitious, we already have that like energy. So I'm like, channel is your career. Like if you're gonna be somebody who is like, remember it's like, have the energy of a mediocre Nigerian man, no shade to Nigeria, I see you. But you know how a Nigerian man will like pester you as a girl. They'll be driving behind you, hey girl, I'm like, guy, like, let's have that same energy. Like, put it into your, imagine if people want quarter of that energy into your career. Like, it's the same thing. Like, honestly, there's no written playbook that people think, oh, if I, maybe Pearle is doing this, maybe this person is doing that. It's really not that. I think it's just having that clarity of thought, being audacious, and just being very resilient. Like, just like, until the day I die, like, I'm going to get this thing. And if I don't, nothing else matters. So I think that for me is what, like, I would say would stand people out from those who do and those who don't.
No, welcome to class, guys. Welcome to masterclass. Masterclass, really. No, that's very encompassing. That's really encompassing. I think my next question is, I mean, you were like an influence maker even in Nigeria before you left, and then like now that you're over there. I think my next question is, what's a skill that sort of transcends no matter the geographical location?
Yeah.
A skill that stands you out no matter,
I would say it's relationship building. Like relationship building, like I think we all know that to some great extent, because everybody's like, oh, it's who you know, and it's also who knows you, right? Who can call your name in the room. So I think relationship building is the biggest skill that translates any like continent. So I'm every now and then, like I'm lying down and I'm stressed out, I'll be like, you know what? When everything's said and done, if I pick up my phone, I know that I can call someone in San Francisco, in Ireland, in London, Singapore, Korea, Germany. Like you mentioned the country, I can call someone up and I know that person will respond. And I think it's just by being very intentional, because that's another thing, right? People think networking is, I'm going to reach out to someone when I need something. I'm going to reach out to someone, to plug me into this. But I think it's like, you have to build a friendship, almost like a friendship, right? When you're with your friend, you're not just coming to them because you want something. You're coming to them because you want to hang out. You're coming to them because you want to take them to a party, that kind of thing, right? I think that same thing with career, relationships, even your mentors. Like my seniors, one of my mentors invited me to her birthday party. It was far. I was coming from Ikeja. Her party was in Lekki. But I went because I was like, nah, like I have to show up for this person, right? And like the fact that I met her family, her children, it went like a long way, because I know now, like if I ever reached out to her, if she ever needed something, I'll be the first person she would reach out to, right? So I think a lot of times we forget that you have to like build your relationship. And obviously, since I've left, like since I graduated, it's been 10 years. So that's like 10 years of relationships of so many people. So it's like, I remember someone asking me like, how are you able to maintain all these relationships? And I'm like, I do my best to show up when they need me like the most, right? So if it's a birthday, if it's a wedding, if it's an event that they're hosting, a conference, whatever it is, I try my best if I can to show up for that thing, right? If it means a lot to them, I will do my best. Like my friend is getting married, she's like, it's in Benin. She's like, are you sure you come? I said, I'm going to be there, live and direct. I will come to Edo and I'll be there, because it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't have any other opportunity to see this person. Like, we're all so busy, we're all doing different things, but if I can make it to Benin, right? Like, it's just things like that. I tell people, it's like, even with like my seniors, like they'll say, oh, they need, Pearle, can you help us host this? Can you help us organize this? I'll be like, yes, I'll come there, right? So I feel like that's like a skill that translates everywhere, and just like being intentional and like being there for people, that skill, for me at least, has opened doors for me globally.
I was holding myself back to interrupt you. I hope you know that there'll be a lot of shots from this particular response, because again, I mean, that's how we became friends.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how we actually. So again, what she said about like DMing, I think I DM'd her. I think you even missed my first message, which was not intentional, by the way. Just clarifying, you were planning an event, and it was just talk of DMs, and then like I had sent a follow-up. I think it was too late for me to be part of it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, do you know what? I work with Carrier, so like we support capacity building things, and we're just going to support you every way, either I speak or not. And then like from there we started building gradually, and then so it became a time I could call her my friend. Right, yeah, so I think that was very important. And I really just love the point that you talked about showing up, because people ask me like similar questions. I'm like, oh, I just show up for people. Like I'm not talking to Pearle 24/7 guys. She doesn't even have the time.
Honestly.
But like we noticed, like in 6 months, we have not jumped on the call. Like, we need
Exactly, we need to talk. We need to catch up.
Like, we literally do Google Meets, guys. Like, our last guy was a Google Meet.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I'm gonna send you a link, put on my calendar, and then we get it done. Yeah, so it's a lot of work, and I'm glad I doubled down on that. The next question is slightly tricky, and I know that you would be happy to answer it because I know you're also like committed to just bringing more Africans into global rooms. What are the things that happen in global rooms? Okay, maybe what do global rooms expect of us Africans that we do not know?
Well, that's a good question. I think for me, from all I've seen in all the rooms that I've been in, the first thing, or I would say a couple of things, maybe 3 or so. The first thing is like being articulate, which is what I said earlier, like clarity. But articulate is also another. A lot of times when we speak or when we present ourselves, like we're not presenting ourselves in the best way. Like we're not putting our best foot forward. And like so, for example, I've interviewed for like
global roles, guys. Global roles. I know.
I've interviewed for some of the biggest companies in the world. Like, so the other day I was looking at some of my old pictures when I was like 25 or so, and I was at YouTube, I was at Microsoft, I was at Twitter, I was at Pinterest. Like, I was interviewing for these companies almost every other day. My calendar invite was just back to back. And I think for me, what really stood me out, like from all the feedback that I'd always get was like, I was always good at expressing myself, at articulating, and also keying into the vision of the company, right? I think that's a trick that a lot of people don't like realize when it comes to interviewing or just trying to, get ahead, is like key into the other person's vision. It's no longer about you, it's about the other person who's like listening to you, right? So you doing that research, like you going beyond surface level, that's what stands you out. Because again, like unfortunately, because we're Black, right, we're competing with white people who, unfortunately, which is, if anybody who has watched Scandal, right, Olivia Pope said you have to work twice as hard to get half of what they want. So if you're going to compete with what they have, right, you have to be twice better. So you have to do more than surface level research. You have to go in depth. You have to find the insights, right? So whenever I'm interviewing, it's no longer about, oh, my qualifications, I went to this school. Everybody went to that school. But then what is that surface, like what is that deeper level? What is something about them as well? Like even my interviewer, like I would even research on them, like what makes us like connect? Like what is that link, right? What is that intersection? How do I stand out? Every time I'm presenting, anytime I'm interviewing, whatever room I'm in, it's just like, how can I stand out that I'm going to be memorable? I think that's something that a lot of people need to do better at, like whether it's in your personality, and that just kind of goes into authenticity. Like a lot of times we want to be like everybody else, but it's like, if you want to play the long game and if you want to win, you need to be authentic. You need to be 100% you. And that's why, like you said, oh my gosh, I can't really be dressed up with it. But like, that's just me. Like, I'm not going to go anywhere.
I was telling my team that you guys, don't worry.
I'm not going to go anywhere without dressing up, right? Like, for me, like, that's my thing, like, career-wise, like, whatever it is, like, I'm going to be authentic. And I think that's what stood me out. Like, my seniors, I woke up one day and said I wanted to be Beyonce of tech policy. Like, it was a very random thing, but then it just stuck because I think for me, with Beyonce, was like, she always had that work ethic. She was always somebody who was going to go over and beyond. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to call myself Beyonce, that means I'm ready to go over and beyond. And then eventually, I think everybody saw that as well. And then to the point where I would have my own seniors be calling me Beyonce. Like, my manager would be like, oh, is Beyonce in the room now? Like, it's just that energy, right? And I think authenticity, people think, oh, I need to take a step back. I need to be less in order to be in this room. You don't need to be less, right? Obviously, you need to know when and how and, be respectful and all of that. But you need to still be yourself. You need to be able to like get in the room and everybody's like, okay, this person, like
I want to speak.
Like I want to speak to her. Like you want, like honestly, and it happens to me every single time. Like I think I've mastered the art. I will literally walk into a room and everybody's like, who is that girl? whoever she is, I need to know who she is. Like, it's so crazy. Like, I will have people taking pictures of me. And I mean, I'm like, I'm not a celebrity. Like, I'm just, but it's just like an energy, but it's practice. Like, it's not like, okay, one day and I became this person. Like, it's constant practice, and then just like shutting down the inner critic of like, oh no, I don't belong. Oh, I'm not good enough, and that kind of stuff. So I think that's like the trick that a lot of times they don't even want us to know, right? Yeah. Because the moment we step into that excellence, that black excellence, they always call us with, it's over, it's game over, right? So I think the moment we realize that we're actually excellent in ourselves, that's how you win.
Masterclass 2.0. And this is also a good time to talk about the fact that Pearle has a lot of resources, free and paid. We'll list some in the description, but if you're looking for someone to help you level up, like literally, I think that's the summary. If you're looking to level up, you actually should sign up on the Way Collective.
Yes.
Yeah, so I will link it in the description of this YouTube. There are a lot of, and I'm you saying free and paid. They are free, very helpful, and they are also paid one. And as you can see, your life will change for better. So it's interesting because like I was gonna like segue gradually into just a bit. I know just one of the questions I wrote, just a bit of the importance of personal branding, and how just that is. I even think that like as a black, if you're looking to play globally, that's not even an option. Like, except you are extremely specified technically in a very super niche role. But even at that, I think someone still has to mention your name in the room.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. I was just wondering if you want to speak a minute or two to the importance of personal branding if you're looking to
I mean,
global career. I
was going to say, you know how you're like, oh, unless you're $10, but even DJ Copy is on LinkedIn right now.
Right. Actually, she's not just on LinkedIn. She's not just actually. Like she is saying, oh, I donated.
Exactly. So everybody's creating a personal brand. Like even those people who we think, oh, they don't need it because their father is or this one, they've seen the importance of personal brand. I think for any professional starting out, one thing I always want to clarify is personal branding and being a social media influencer, all of kind of stuff, they're two different things. Because people think that, oh, your personal brand has to be online. You have to have 50,000 followers. You have to be viral. You have to be post. Because you're like, oh, I can't post. Why don't I create content? I'm like, look, I'm asking you to be a content creator. Like, those are two separate things. Like, creating a personal brand and being a content creator, influencer, they're not the same. They might have some intersection because obviously if you're creating a brand, there's some like online activities you have to do. But your personal brand is like your ethos, right? It's your package, it's who you are, right? A brand, right? Like Coca-Cola is not Coca-Cola because they're viral online. Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola because when you see the color, when you see the font, you know that it's Coca-Cola. So that for me is what I try to build. Like I'm trying to be in a situation when I get into a certain room, it's like automatically everybody just knows, oh, that's Pearle. So that's something that like for me, like the importance of personal brand is visibility. Like to the point where when they need to select someone, it's just you. Like, there's no doubt in their mind. And it's because you've been credible, you've been consistent, and you've been intentional about how you go about whatever it is there. Because I don't want to be say, oh, create content, oh, do this. I don't want to be that person who tells you, oh, this is how you want to do it. But you need to build credibility, especially now, like, especially in the offline space. I think a lot of online is so saturated now, everybody's online, which is great. But I think in the offline space, we're beginning to see that shift of like communities. People are creating communities, people are having more events are coming up and everything. So if you're able to just like maximize your offline presence and then somehow it translates online, even better, because that means you're able to be in the room, that access, that one person, that senior person, that peer, they can meet you because you can have 1 million views and that 1 million views can't do anything for you. Let's be real. Like, we've all seen it happen. We go viral and then...
That's all.
And that's all. But then one post, they're like 5 likes. So then it would not be one CEO that saw that post. And then... So for me, as I was talking about, I was like, I'd rather just be outside and just meet the people. If I can shake their hand, let me just do it versus waiting for some miracle of God or something, or act of God to get me viral. So I think for me, like, your personal brand is just really like, you need to be credible, you need to be consistent, you need to be intentional, and you just need to be in the room.
I really love that you started with credibility because I think that that's an important part that people miss out on. Yeah, so we started serious so far, and like you can see, like just drop here the wisdoms. so a bit of relaxing stuff. So just play like a game or two. Okay. That's why I called it bridge. Okay. I even noticed I did that because the musical part. Yeah. So the first time I was gonna start with like why Beyonce, but then I feel like
that's been a bit of it. Yeah. Oh wow. I feel like Beyonce is my, she's, I don't even know.
Guys,
she's everything to me. Like I always say, it's God, family, Beyonce. That's my, that's my level of importance. Like, I don't even know, my future husband will probably be fourth after Beyonce. Because at the end of the day, like, men come and go. Beyonce's music will forever be on Apple Music. I can get her vinyl. Like, I'm sorry, you just cannot convince me otherwise, right? So I think why Beyonce, at age 7, I think she was one of the very first few people who was black, a black woman that was taking over like the world, right? And it was just it was so inspiring to see. My mom didn't let me listen to secular music, but Beyonce was the only person she let me listen to. Beyonce was the first wallpaper I ever got. And then the older I got, like I would just always watch how like she just had this consistency, which is what I said. Like she was just always consistent. Her work ethic, like every time you thought Beyonce was done, it was just like, here we go again. And then that resilience, right? Like this Cowboy Carter, like it happened because they told her she couldn't be country. Like they were racist to her, and then she was like,
I'm gonna do an album.
Say less. I'm gonna do an album. And then she does the whole album. She wins album of the year. She was called country album of the year. So I think it's just one of like I feel like I'm always just like enamored by a woman like Beyonce because I'm like every time I think she's hit the cap of what she's going to do in her career, she just goes a step further. And that's what I want to embody in my career. I
was very happy that she won album of the year.
Yeah, same.
It was overdue.
It was about time.
Very, 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 very overdue. Yeah, so my next question, I'm going to put you in tight spots.
Okay.
Beyonce's vinyl or a free ticket to live concert?
To what concert?
To her concert.
Oh, a vinyl or her concert? Of course. Like.
Okay, interested. Cowboy, Kata, or Lemonade?
Ooh.
Sorry.
Don't do that to me. Oh my God.
Sorry.
That's a tough one, but I would say Lemonade because all night I'm praying to God that if I do get married, that's going to be my wedding song. Like, I love that song so much. So, yeah.
That's individual.
So I'll say Lemonade.
And that's exactly. Yeah, my last question, New York or London?
New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know why, guys. It's inside just don't worry. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Okay, then good. Okay, so let's get back. We've talked a lot about. We started with talking about your career, and we talked about like just what Africans need to do to stand out, to be in those global rooms. So if I was, you studied law, then had a master's in public policy.
Technology policy.
Yeah, policy. Yeah. So if I was a recent graduate, for instance, and then I have this 5-year goal, and I'm adding 5-year goal. If you watched the last video with Michael, it talked about how you need to actually attach years to your plan. So like you cannot jump today and say, I want to be on the global stage tomorrow. And it's very important for you to actually put time and work, do activities that position you to achieve those goals. So if I was a recent graduate, I want to play in the, global stage in 5 years, what should I be doing? Deep stuff.
It's deep because like my own like global trajectory, which a lot of people have seen and they're like,
so let me help you.
Yeah.
So when people ask me this kind of question, I answer from an aggregate perspective of what I've observed with like people in similar.
Okay. Yeah. No, but also I just want to just say, since we're on the record, that my global trajectory was based off like, I don't even say tragedy or like craziness. Well, it wasn't like, I don't know. I obviously I had a vision for myself, but I think like when, maybe you have a question that talks about it, but every single time that I've had to move to a new country was because of something crazy that happened,
I can testify to that.
So I think like for me, I'm the kind of person where it's like, I think that's where the resilience comes in. Like if you're going to build your career in 5 years, what I would say is like have that resilience, because if you're going to be thrown out of the arena, something crazy happens, you need to be able to bounce back and then create another plan. Because if I say that like the 5-year plan I had for myself when I first left Unilag is not what I'm doing.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
like not. I'd have still been in California if I was still sticking to said plan. So I think like what I would say, which might be different from everybody else, is just like you have to be adaptable, right? If anything changes in that 5-year plan, you should be able to like create a plan B and a plan C. So I think that for me is the advice I'll give anyone. Like have a goal, like a 5-year plan. But like one of my mentors or role models that I follow, Buzuma St. John, she doesn't believe in 5-year plans. Like she has this whole ethos of urgent life, that like life is meant to be lived every single day, like carpe diem, seize the day, right? So I think for me, I have that like similar mindset where it's like, yeah, I have a vision for myself 5 years from now, but I'd rather just be in the moment where it's like, okay, what can I do around me that I can enjoy, that I can build, and then if something crazy happens, I'm able to just pivot into the next thing, right? So that's, an advice that I would give anyone, where it's like, yeah, build the 5-year plan, but also create like room to be adaptable, to pivot, and then to bounce back.
No, I love it. So like being adaptable, pivot, and like bounce back. She has done a lot of that, by the way, and like everything like didn't drop hands onto her. So my next question is tricky. So yeah, I'm asking you a trick question. You're my friend.
It's a hot seat.
Sorry.
It's okay.
What's a question you would really love to answer that I've not asked?
Let's see. Well, I think you mentioned, just kind of talking about like career trajectory, like what that looks like. Because I feel like a lot of times, a lot of people don't, like they see the polished version, and then like a lot of people don't know the
BTS.
The behind the scenes, right? Exactly. So yeah, that would be a question, yeah.
Yeah, okay, please go ahead.
So I would say that like, first of all, like going all the way to like Unilag, which is where I studied. I studied law, University of First Choice. It's everybody here.
We hear you.
That's what we're called. Like, I'm not even trying to shade anyone. But that very last name we give ourselves. So.
Where you are here, please do the necessary in the comment section. Thank you.
So anyways, so I studied law, but that was never the plan, right? Like initially I was supposed to study abroad, but unfortunately like my parents couldn't afford it. So I had to go to Unilag. And I remember just being so unhappy in my first year. Oh my God. That first year was chaos.
You probably had imagined the life.
I didn't like plan. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be in London. So I was very unhappy. But it's so funny that when I look back now, like Unilag was literally like what shaped me, what created this person. Like I don't think Yonsei of tech policy would have been without Unilag. Like that hustle energy. And then this whole abroad thing that I really wanted to do, I did it through Unilag because by the time I got into Moods, like I was able to represent the faculty internationally. Like I went to DC, New York a couple times.
Oh, so you did international Moods too?
I did international Moods and Model UN, yes. So yeah, that's how we're able to create LMUN. Yes, so I was one of the very first sets that actually went abroad for international Model UNs and Moods competitions like JSOP and all of that.
Oh, you did JSOP?
Yes, exactly. So like that's the thing, like it's like that wasn't the plan. I was meant to be abroad, found myself feeling like I was okay, how can I make Unilag work for me? By the time I got into my second year, I was okay, enough with the crying and feeling sad for myself. How can I make Unilag work for me? Then even when I got into Berkeley, right, like this was a whole thing of like I'm gonna work in the US, I'm going to get a good job, and it wasn't working out. Like I would finish interviews and they'd be like, oh, we can't sponsor your visa, the whole thing. So I had to do the whole 360 again. And then I was not interviewing for European companies because I realized, okay, Europe, Ireland, for example, could sponsor visas. And Ireland, for example, was a hub for tech companies as well.
You're correct.
So there I was in California. I would wake up like as early as 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to have interviews because of the time zone. That was how crazy it was. But I didn't care. I was like, I'm going to do it. And then eventually I got my job at TikTok. And then I had to move all the way to Dublin, Ireland. Then I got there. Everything was good, going great. Got my job with Twitter. Elon Musk joins Twitter.
And life happened, guys. Ladies and gentlemen.
And life happened. I lost my job. The job I sweated. I changed consistently. It was like that guy that's like, finally I love you. And he's like, who are you? Girl, bye.
Oh my God, that's actually heartbreaking. Now that I think about it.
Like you should have seen me. Like my heart was on the floor. It was worse than a heartbreak. It was just like, what is going on? So, because of that, I had to pivot again, and then I moved to London. So, you know, like the last job that I had, you know, eventually moved me to London. So it's just been like, whenever I look at my life, it's just been such
exactly. Remember that? Yeah, that book that you read, that you shared a portion of it.
Exactly, yeah. So it's not as glamorous. People think, oh, she's lived in all these countries, and she just woke up one day and she just dragged her suitcase.
And jump on the next flight.
I know, and it's like another misconception people have of me is that I know a lot of people think that I have a dual citizenship, that, you know, I lived my life abroad, and I was like, no, I actually have a Nigerian passport. My Nigerian passport,
and I can testify to it.
My passport is very green. So in all of these moves, all of these moves, I've had to apply for like visas. Everything has been crazy back to back, and that's why I like resilience, because I could have given up from like the get-go, because it was a lot. Like, I'm not even going to lie, like, some days I'm like, I don't know how I did this, and that's why I tell people, like, if you really want to be on those global stages, if you really want to compete globally, you need to be able to bounce back. Like, you need to be able to cry, because I know I cried, clean your eyes, and then just get back into the arena. So that is the unglamourous part, you know, BTS of Beyonce. Oh yeah.
Not like, I'm really, we are honored that you shared this with us, and like, I love BTS stories. One of the reasons why I worked on my documentary. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Yeah, I think that is very important for you to know that, like, there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes of like the lofty, you know, glamorous career that you you're so jealous of. I think my next question, which is sort of my penultimate, I think, by the way, just a way of disclaimer, I say penultimate like 3 times.
No worries.
But my editor will cue me when it's time to say the last one. Yeah, so I think my next question before my penultimate question is, so now, like, we've all had, like, heard all these amazing things, we've listened to your story, we've like done listen to the curves and just these challenges. Despite all, what would you advise someone? Okay, so before I even ask that part, you've worked in like global companies. What is the difference between the thinking pattern of like a Nigerian in Nigeria, or maybe an African in Africa, versus an African, you know, over there? And I'll give back an illustration. The episode before this, my guest talked about how, I mean, he doesn't drink. At least then, he did used to drink. And how, like, in London, you know, it's okay for you to go out with your manager. Actually, your manager will ask you to say, you know. And then, like, if you're in Nigeria, you're supposed to be like, yes, sir. You're supposed to be very subservient to your manager. Yeah. So what are, like, cultural nuances? That might not be cultural, might be career and other things that is different from the way global companies operate and the way African companies. And this question is very important, so that you're able to start having the mental shift before you even, like, get into the room.
Yeah, that's a good question. So kind of leading into what the person before you said, it's a very informal, formal structure. Like, you know, in Nigeria, I've had to train my brain to be like Mr. This, Mr. That, and there, like, there'll be a 50-something when I'm calling him by name, like my manager and stuff like that. So it's a shift. Like, the respect is there, but then there's that, like, almost peer kind of feeling with your seniors, but obviously, you know, you have to respect them to some extent. So I think that's, like, you know, on a day-to-day, that's what it looks like. And then also just, you know, having a portfolio career is common there too, right? You know, the people who, you know, they started, I know people in my office that did not have law degrees and all of that stuff. They were I know someone who studied theater and then found himself all the way, you know, doing policy now. So they've all had these, like, different backgrounds, and then I think what now got them their job or the experience was like based on their passion or maybe a course that they did. So I think obviously in Nigeria very much like you have to study law, engineering, and medicine. But for them it's like they have done so many different things. They've lived, I know people who have lived in like different countries where they decided to come like settle down in where they were. So they were able to explore and they now decide, okay, this is what they want to do in their career. So I think that's something that, you know, I'm seeing more of that happening in Nigeria. Like a lot of us are trying to explore beyond, you know, that, like what was expected of us. And I think it's really important because at the end of the day, like we're all so multifaceted that it doesn't make sense that we die and we've only just done one thing. And that's kind of what gave me the spring to like fly, because when I got there I was like, okay, I don't really have to be a lawyer. Like I went to study law for my master's, but I ended up not, taking the bar, for example, right? When everybody was studying for the bar, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I'm just going to take a risk and go into this tech policy thing. So it kind of gave me, I felt more liberated. I didn't feel like I was going to be stifled. And I had a professor who was very much, in support of what I was doing. So it wasn't like, oh, I didn't have any support. So I think that's something that, if anybody who's trying to make that pivot, it's like open yourself up to like opportunities. Like don't just like streamline yourself to one thing. Like, let yourself be a sponge, take in everything, and then now decide what works for you and then go with that.
No, guys, we can wrap this up now. Masterclass ended. Everybody. So, but before I release you, and finally, this is my penultimate question, the final penultimate one. By the way, the last question is always for my guests to ask me a question.
Okay.
Okay, so my penultimate question is, Pearle, you are a fashion queen. Give the girlies some fashion tips. Guys, you can see how
that's not cheap. Okay. All right. So what I would say in terms of fashion, especially when it comes to, because I'm very particular about corporate fashion, right?
Yeah.
I think every girl is fashionable when it comes to parties, dinners. I think everybody's fine, but I think in the corporate world, there's still that like nuance of like, what can I wear that is, it's not professional, but it's not provocative, exactly, or it's not too flashy and everything. So I think for me, what I really enjoy is like corporate fashion. Like I'm always like invited to speak. If I wasn't going to speak, whenever I used to go to the office, I used to be so excited. Like, people are like, oh, they want to do hybrid, they want to do remote. Not me. I would literally iron my clothes the night before. And then by 4 a.m. I'm awake. So that I can do my makeup, and I can do my hair, I can do everything, get dressed, and then I will skittle down to the office. I used to be so excited, like, oh my gosh. Like every time I go to the office, I'm like, yes, I get to dress up. What am I wearing today? So in terms of like tips, the first thing I would say is like have a capsule wardrobe. I think a lot of times people think that like being fashionable is by having a lot of clothes. No, it's actually by having a capsule wardrobe. And by capsule wardrobe, I mean like having like distinct items in your closet that you can mix and match whenever. So having like a very good, like I have about maybe 4 structured blazers that I mix and match. Like if I'm going to be semi-casual, fully casual, or like formal. So I would always mix and match like my blazer with like the pants that it comes with, or like the skirt suit and everything. So I'll always like have like very unique set of outfits that come rain or shine, you can always just mix and match. You don't have to buy a new outfit. And like if someone invites you to anything, like your outfits are able to, they're appropriate for whatever it is, basically. So that's how I build my wardrobe. Like, I haven't shopped in like 2 years. Like, nobody believe me. Like, this outfit, for example, by Kai, like, it's a 2-piece. So that means I can wear it with jeans, I can wear it with a normal top, I can put a blazer on it, like, whatever I want to do, I'll just mix and match with it. Comfort is also key. Like, I'm always wearing like very comfortable heels that I can wear on different outfits. So I always have like nude shoes. I don't have like colored shoes, because I'm like, if I have a colored shoe, that means I can only wear it to specific outfits. So it's just things like that. I'm always thinking of when I'm buying my clothes, so that it's longer, it's durable, I can wear it for multiple times. And then last thing is have a standout piece, right? In terms of standout, it's more like your items, right? I have green glasses, rings and stuff like that just like always like stand. So even if I'm going to wear all black, there has to be like something that would still capture the eye. And it's something I actually read from a book. I'm trying to remember the name of the book. It's quite an old book, but it was just like an advice where it's like, if you're going to go out to a party, cocktail, whatever it is, wear something that will stand out. And then there was this one guy who wore orange shoes, and then that was literally what brought the CEO to him, and not the other way around. When everybody's trying to get to the CEO was like, who is that guy in orange shoes, right? So for me, I was like, oh, that is actually quite smart. And then I bought green glasses, and then everywhere I went, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I love your glasses. Oh, I love this, So I always tell people, like, if you're going to, let's just say, oh, Pearle, I can't wear, these bright colors, all of that. At least have a standout item that people are always like, they would always use that to remember you, right? Can even in your email, you're like, oh, following up, I'm the girl in green glasses. I was the guy in black or blue, whatever it is. That's something people would always remember. So that's my fashion tips, guys. And if you want more, you gotta pay.
Please, in the DM, right? Thank you, Pearle.
This ain't cheap.
At all. You people, you should be thanking her, right? Thank you, because this is free consultation, guys. If we had time, I've asked you to share the story of the green glass. There's actually like a fantastic story.
My story?
The one that about
Bozoma.
where you sent it DM. Was it?
Oh, so Bozoma. Yes. So, I mean, just real quickly, like, Bozoma St. John is like the CMO, she's like the Beyonce of the marketing world. And she was coming to London, and I reached out, I sent her a DM. I was like, hi, like, do you need any help setting up? And then she was like, oh, no, she's great and everything. I was like, okay.
Again, networking, guys.
Yeah, networking. You know, I was like, oh, I'm going to be the girl in the green glasses. And she's like, okay. And for some odd luck, when I get to the event, they give me this ticket, and they're like, oh. And then Bozoma is like, if you got a black ticket, you can ask me any question, like, in the room, which was so random, because I randomly got that ticket. So I stand up, and then she's like, you're the girl in the green glasses. You told me that I'm going to find you. And it was like, everyone was just like, oh my God, what's going on? And then next thing I'm supposed to stand up to even give her flowers. Oh, she was like, oh, thank you so much. Because I've been following Bozoma since like 2018. And she's like, I'm always seeing your comments. I'm always seeing your DMs. Thank you so much for all the love that you give me. I wanted to cry. I was doing my best not to break down in tears, guys. Because Bozoma is like, after Beyonce is Bozoma for me, you know? So that's an example of just like how a pair of glasses, which was like $8 when I bought that glasses, till tomorrow, if that glasses break, I will actually cry. But then that's a perfect example of just how like fashion, you know, I was just, you know, literally talking to a C-suite executive because of my green glasses.
Yeah, so I shared that so that you know that all our tips are tested and trusted. Thank you very much. Yeah, so this has been a very rich conversation. And we are drawing a curtain on it by you asking me a question. Okay,
so my question to you is, you know, kind of flipping the script. So if anybody wanted to like have a global career, like in your experience, from all the people that you've spoken with, like what has been maybe the top 2 things that, you know, stands out for you?
It's interesting. I think that aggregating, again, of course, you know, I have a lot of friends that play globally.
Yeah.
I think aggregating what everybody has said is tennis city and audacity as one. Like, you have to be insanely tenacious. I mean, Destiny, best graduate student at Harvard, worked with like one of the top 5 law firms, but you also applied to 800 jobs. All my career, like 10 years career, I've not applied to 800 jobs. Like from 2019, that's how I applied to job till 2026. Now, I have not applied to 800 jobs.
Look at that.
And then in one sitting, an Harvard best graduate, not Harvard graduate, though, Harvard best graduating student. I had to apply to 800 jobs. Anytime I'm working on something, I get a rejection. I just remember that and I go again because you have not even gone to Harvard, right? Yeah, so I think at the intersection is tenacity. But I think the second thing is just an insane amount of belief in yourself. That like this thing is up for the taking.
Yeah.
So I'm slightly pessimistic when it comes to like applying to it. I'm like, a lot of people are competing for it, they probably will not look at me. But like there are just people that's like, if you have 5 slots, one of those slots will be mine.
Yeah.
And I think that those 2 things have sort of just, you know, being at the intersection.
I agree. Honestly, like the last thing I'll say is like when I was in London, my mirror, again, back to Beyonce, I had a mirror sticker that said, I'm one of one, I'm number one, and I'm the only one. So every morning, it was just like a reminder. So even if the slot was just for one person, that is going to me because I'm one of one. So I didn't care about anybody else. It was just like, yeah, well, okay, there's a lot of people who are intelligent, beautiful, whatever, but there's only one of me. So they are going to be lucky to have me. So yeah, having an insane belief in yourself is key.
You're one of one. Okay, thank you very much, Pearle. Like, I'm really so happy that we did this, and like I wish that we could do it for a longer period. But I have to wrap up now. But it was super delightful.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoyed this, please leave a comment, share, post. You just enjoyed free value. Okay, then I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.